As the massive Confederation flagship hovered over Earth's atmosphere, its sleek, geometrically perfect hull shimmered under the rays of the sun, casting long shadows over the planet below. President Rachel Evans stood at the window of the Oval Office, watching the live feed from space. The sheer scale of the alien craft took her breath away. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built. It wasn't just a ship, it was a message. "You've seen it," said General Harold Barnes, who stood beside her, his arms crossed and eyes narrowed. He didn't need to say much. The look on his face said it all. The presence of the Confederation wasn't just a diplomatic mission, it was a power play. And Barnes, a seasoned military officer, was already bracing for the worst. "Yes," Rachel replied, her voice steady, but there was an edge to it. "I've seen it. We all have." For weeks, humanity had received transmissions from the Confederation, shimmering broadcasts of their technology, their art, their culture. Their fleets, they claimed, were eager to meet humanity, to share knowledge. They spoke of peace, of cooperation. But for all their assurances, the tone was unmistakably condescending. Rachel turned away from the window and looked at Barnes. "We can't take this lightly. If they really wanted peace, they'd be on the ground by now. Instead, they're floating above us, waiting for us to come to them." Barnes nodded grimly. "They've got every advantage, Rachel. We don't even know what kind of weapons they have. But their intentions are clear. They're testing us." As the world's leaders convened to discuss their response, a group of scientists, including Dr. Lucas Donovan, a leading astrophysicist from MIT, voiced immediate concerns. Donovan, a vocal critic of any external influence on Earth, was adamant that humanity was being set up for subjugation. "They can't be trusted," he said bluntly in a video conference, his face appearing on a holographic screen. "They've been watching us for decades. Now they want us to just bend the knee. They've underestimated our will." Rachel didn't disagree with Donovan, but she was also a pragmatist. She knew that Earth could not afford to make enemies with the rest of the galaxy, especially when their technology could catapult humanity into a new era. The Confederation was offering a lifeline, but at what cost? "I'll go," Rachel finally decided, her voice firm. "I'll meet them in person, but if they try to pull anything at all, I'll walk away, no matter what it costs." Barnes gave her a long, searching look. "Just be careful, Madam President. We've never dealt with anything like this before." With that, Earth's first interstellar diplomatic mission was set in motion. And the universe was watching. The air in the high-tech briefing room was thick with tension as President Rachel Evans stood at the head of a long, polished table. Before her sat a room full of humanity's most brilliant minds: military strategists, scientists, diplomats, and intelligence officers. The holographic projection of the Confederation envoy flickered to life in the center of the room, casting an eerie glow on their faces. The alien representatives appeared in their full, intimidating glory. Erix, the telepathic leader of the Zorian species, stood at the forefront of the group. He was tall, towering, in fact, his dark, silvery skin glistening like liquid metal. His 4 arms hung effortlessly at his sides, and his eyes, large and black, seemed to pierce through the human delegates. His presence alone made the room feel smaller, more confined, as though they were the ones being watched. Behind him, a group of diverse species stood in perfect alignment. A reptilian-like being with translucent scales, a floating energy form pulsing with light, and a short, angular creature with 6 eyes. The others were less distinctive, humanoid but with strange features, like skin that shifted colors or elongated limbs. Each one emitted an aura of power, as if their mere existence was a testament to their species' dominance. Eric spoke first, his voice a low, melodic hum that seemed to resonate within their minds rather than just through their ears. "Greetings, President Evans. Earth has become a unique point of interest in the galaxy. We have watched your species grow from primitive, war-torn peoples into one capable of space travel. But your potential has not gone unnoticed. We, the Galactic Confederation, extend an invitation to join our collective." His words, smooth and assured, seemed rehearsed. Behind him, a screen flickered to life, showing images of advanced technology, energy sources that defied human understanding, medical advancements capable of curing diseases thought incurable, and weapons of unimaginable power. "We offer you knowledge, protection, and a place among us," Erix continued. "All we ask in return is your compliance. Join us, and you will no longer be a solitary planet, an isolated species, alone in the dark." Rachel's eyes narrowed. She couldn't help but feel the weight of his words. The Confederation was not asking. They were offering. No, demanding. The implication was clear. Comply or risk being left behind in a galaxy where only the strongest survived. The room was silent as Rachel absorbed the offer. She could feel the weight of the decision pressing down on her. To accept would mean the end of Earth's independence, but to refuse might invite conflict. The stakes were higher than anything humanity had ever faced. Before Rachel could speak, Dr. Lucas Donovan, who had been standing at the back of the room, stepped forward. His voice was firm and unwavering. "And what happens if we refuse your generous offer, Erix? Will you destroy us?" The Zorian's expression remained unreadable, but his voice took on an edge. "You misunderstand. We do not seek destruction. We seek cooperation. But in the end, humanity will either adapt to the new order or be left behind." The room froze. The challenge was set. The meeting with the Confederation envoys had left President Rachel Evans and her team with more questions than answers. Erix's words echoed in her mind. Adapt to the new order, or be left behind. It was a threat disguised as diplomacy, and she knew it. Humanity was being asked to join a vast, interstellar coalition on the Confederation's terms, or face the consequences of defiance. Rachel's heart weighed heavy with the knowledge that rejecting the offer could lead to conflict, perhaps even annihilation. But there was something in the back of her mind that wouldn't let her ignore the implications of accepting. What did the Confederation truly want? Was this really a peaceful alliance, or was it a veiled form of control? And what if their protection wasn't about security at all, but domination? The decision was not hers alone to make. She turned to her most trusted advisors, including Dr. Lucas Donovan, the astrophysicist who had been a vocal critic of the Confederation from the very beginning. Donovan was pacing around the room, his mind clearly racing as he considered the implications of the alien presence on Earth. "Rachel," he said, finally stopping in front of her, "we don't know enough about them. They show us technology, but how do we know it's not just a carrot on a stick to lead us into submission? What if they're not offering protection? They're offering control." Rachel sighed. "I don't think anyone knows their true motives. They say we're on the cusp of something great, that we can join the galactic family. But the way they're positioning themselves, it's hard not to feel like we're just another resource to them. And we'd be fools to think they'll let us keep our autonomy forever," Donovan added, his voice low but fierce. "I've been digging into their history. The Confederation doesn't cooperate. They conquer. They have one goal: control. Their so-called peace is just a prelude to absorption." Rachel knew Donovan was right. Despite the promises of a new era for humanity, the idea of surrendering Earth's sovereignty to a foreign power was unthinkable. But how could they stand up to a force that controlled the galaxy's most advanced technology? The answer came as a whisper, an idea so daring that Rachel could hardly believe it at first. "I've been thinking," Donovan said, his eyes alight with excitement. "There's something we haven't considered, something that could level the playing field." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Donovan looked around, then leaned in closer. "It's beneath us, Rachel. Earth, our home, has something the Confederation doesn't know about, a secret they've overlooked. Hidden under miles of rock. Ancient technology, far older than anything they've ever seen." The room went still. Donovan was talking about something truly extraordinary. "What are you saying, Lucas?" Rachel asked, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm saying we have an edge," Donovan replied. "We can't let them know about it yet, but if we use it right, we can turn the tide. We can defend ourselves, and we can keep our independence." A fire sparked in Rachel's chest. They had been offered a path to peace, but Donovan had just shown her a way forward that was far riskier and far more dangerous. They could fight. They could stand up, not as pawns, but as players. The decision was made. Earth would prepare, secretly, cautiously, but it would prepare to fight for its future. The Confederation would soon learn what humanity was truly capable of. The days following their discovery of the hidden alien technology beneath Earth's surface were tense. Dr. Lucas Donovan, President Rachel Evans, and their trusted team of scientists and military officers worked in complete secrecy, as any leak of information would surely prompt the Confederation to act swiftly and decisively. The last thing they needed was for the alien alliance to realize that humanity had found something they hadn't bargained for, a weapon that could potentially give Earth an edge in the impending conflict. The technology, hidden deep beneath the Arctic Circle in a vast, cavernous complex, was nothing short of astonishing. As the team pored over ancient alien schematics, they realized that the device they had uncovered was a relic of a long-lost civilization, one far older than any species the Confederation had ever encountered. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a form of energy manipulation, capable of disrupting entire fleets, draining power from ships, and rendering even the most advanced shields useless. To Earth's advantage, they now had the means to counter the Confederation's technological superiority. But they also understood the terrible cost. "Rachel, this could be catastrophic," Donovan said one evening, his face pale with the realization of what they were dealing with. "If we use this, it's not just the Confederation we'll be fighting. We're throwing our hat into the biggest conflict the galaxy's ever seen. If this gets out, if they know we have this power—" "I know," Rachel interrupted, her voice steady, but filled with urgency. "But we have no choice. The Confederation is already at our doorstep, and they've made it clear that they want more than just peace. They want control. I won't let them do that to us, Lucas, not without a fight." The decision had been made, but now they needed to act before the Confederation could deploy its full might. As Earth's leaders scrambled to prepare for the inevitable clash, a different threat emerged from within. There was a traitor among them. It started with small discrepancies, tiny inconsistencies in the communication logs, strange signals intercepted from deep space, and the sudden appearance of Confederation agents on Earth's soil under the guise of diplomatic oversight. Rachel's suspicion grew when a confidential meeting between herself, Donovan, and several top military officers was suddenly interrupted by an unexpected power surge in the building. Within moments, the secure lines had been compromised, and the alien signals had breached their defenses. The betrayal came swiftly. A high-ranking member of the Inner Circle, General William Hawks, the very man who had been advocating for a defensive strategy against the Confederation, was revealed to have been feeding the Confederation intelligence for months. It was Hawks who had arranged for the surveillance network, secretly enabling the Confederation to monitor Earth's movements. "You've been feeding them our plans," Rachel said, her voice colder than ice as she confronted Hawks in the dimly lit war room. "Why?" Hawks, now cornered, smirked. "Because peace was never going to happen, Rachel. They were always going to take Earth. I'm just speeding up the inevitable. You'll see, when the Confederation crushes you, maybe then you'll understand." His words hit like a hammer blow. The traitor had been right under their noses the entire time. Earth's fight for survival had just become a whole lot harder. Now, with an enemy within their ranks and the Confederation closing in, humanity's plan to resist had just become a desperate race against time. The revelation of General Hawks' betrayal sent shockwaves through the leadership of Earth. In one swift motion, humanity's fragile alliance of resistance crumbled, and the real battle began. Hawks had been more than just a mole. He was an insider who had orchestrated critical breaches in Earth's security, sabotaging their ability to fully prepare for the coming war. His allegiance to the Confederation was now undeniable, and his actions had ensured that the alien alliance knew far more about Earth's plans than they should have. Worse still, Hawks had used his position to delay the activation of the ancient alien technology, buying the Confederation time. President Rachel Evans, blindsided but resolute, moved quickly to neutralize the threat. Hawks was arrested and detained, but the damage was done. The traitor had given the Confederation a head start. They knew Earth had something to fight with, and they were already planning their next move: an invasion. Evans knew there was no more room for diplomacy. The Confederation would not take kindly to Earth's defiance, especially with their plans compromised. Their fleet had already begun to assemble in the outer orbit, and the time for negotiation had passed. Rachel turned to Lucas Donovan, the only person who fully understood what Earth had uncovered and how it could be used to turn the tide. "We have to act now, before they can land," Rachel said, her tone fierce. "We can't afford another mistake. I need you to activate the device. I know it's risky, but if we're going to stand a chance, if we're going to give humanity a fighting chance, we have to do this." Donovan hesitated only for a moment, but the weight of the decision was unmistakable. He had been studying the ancient technology for weeks, trying to decipher its full potential. But even now, there was so much they didn't understand. The weapon wasn't just a tool. It was an energy force unlike anything humanity had encountered, and activating it in an untested state could have catastrophic consequences. "I'll do it, Rachel," Donovan said finally. "But we need to be prepared for what comes next. If we unleash this power, there's no turning back. It might not just disrupt their ships, it might tear apart our entire atmosphere too." "We have no choice," she said. "We either fight or we lose everything." With the stakes clear, Donovan and his team initiated the device, sending a pulse of energy deep into the Earth's core, where the ancient machinery had been dormant for millennia. The power was immense, almost incomprehensible. It crackled to life with a low hum that seemed to resonate through the very bones of the planet. At first, nothing seemed to happen. But then, in an instant, the sky darkened and the atmosphere began to tremble. Outside, a fleet of Confederation warships, sleek and deadly, moved into Earth's orbit. But as they drew near, something unexpected happened. Their energy shields flickered. Their weapons sputtered. The invincible forces of the Confederation, so sure of their superiority, began to lose power. A spark had been ignited. The war for Earth had begun. The pulse of energy that had surged through the Earth's core had done something unexpected, and in some ways, miraculous. For the first time in history, humanity had not just resisted, they had disrupted the power of the Confederation. As the alien warships floundered in orbit, their systems sputtering, it became clear that the ancient technology was no mere relic. It was a force to be reckoned with. President Rachel Evans stood in the command center, eyes locked on the screens showing the Confederation fleet struggle. The image of their once unbeatable ships flickering and failing was both a triumph and a harbinger of what was to come. The alien fleet, disoriented and disabled, had become easy targets for Earth's makeshift forces. Lucas Donovan stood beside her, his face a mix of awe and concern. The pulse had been far stronger than expected. He had feared it might destabilize Earth's own power grid, or worse, set off a chain reaction that could destroy the planet. But so far, it appeared to be contained. "We've done it," Rachel said, her voice tight with disbelief. "We've crippled their fleet. But at what cost?" Donovan's gaze was fixed on the monitors. The Confederation has never encountered anything like this. Their systems are down. Energy shields are malfunctioning. The pulse is essentially scrambling their technology. But we don't know how long that will last. They'll adapt, or worse, they'll retaliate in a way we can't predict. Rachel's mind raced. The Confederation had shown their hand, and humanity had struck back in a way they never anticipated. But as Donovan had warned, the Confederation would not go down without a fight. They were not just going to let this slap in the face go unanswered. On the holographic map of the planet, another set of signals appeared. The Federation wasn't just retreating. They were calling reinforcements. A massive wave of ships, far larger than the initial fleet, was en route. The Confederation's most elite forces were coming to Earth's doorstep. "We need to be ready," Rachel said, her voice now steel. "We've bought ourselves time, but we need to use it wisely. We can't just rely on this one weapon. We need to rally every resource we have." Donovan was already making calculations. "I can't guarantee that the pulse will work again. Not in the same way, at least. The Confederation will adapt quickly. But we can try to amplify it, sync it to the ship's frequencies." Rachel cut him off. "No, we need more. We need to level the playing field. Now is the time to play our trump card." Donovan hesitated. "Are you suggesting we unleash the full potential of the device?" Rachel met his eyes. "We don't have a choice. The Confederation is not going to negotiate. It's do or die." At that moment, the truth hit them both. The weapon was no longer just a tool of resistance. It was Earth's final bargaining chip in a fight for survival. And there was no going back. In the silent expanse of space, the Confederation's reinforcements approached Earth's orbit, unaware of the storm brewing below. But the pulse had not only awakened ancient technology, it had ignited something far larger: the war for Earth's freedom. The final confrontation was fast approaching, and Earth had no illusions left. The Confederation's reinforcements, an armada that dwarfed the initial fleet, was closing in. They were organized, well-equipped, and utterly ruthless. Yet, for the first time in the conflict, humanity had the advantage. The ancient energy weapon had disabled the alien technology, rendering their ships vulnerable. But that advantage was fleeting. The Confederation was adapting, quickly recalibrating their systems. Earth's window of opportunity was closing fast. President Rachel Evans stood at the helm of Earth's war room, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Her advisors, military commanders, scientists, and key diplomats surrounded her. The faces of the men and women in the room were hard and determined, but behind their eyes there was a flicker of fear. They knew this was it, the final stand. "We need to amplify the pulse," Donovan said urgently, tapping at his console. "We've got to target the alien mothership directly, disrupt its command systems. If we don't, they'll rally and overwhelm us. And once they do, it's over." "Can we do that?" Rachel asked, turning toward him. "The pulse's energy is already unstable. Pushing it further might cause it to collapse on us. There's a risk." Donovan looked up, his eyes darkened with a mixture of resolve and dread. "There's always a risk, but if we don't try, we lose everything." Rachel took a deep breath, steeling herself. "Do it." In the moments that followed, Earth's forces began to assemble. The ancient energy device, hidden beneath the Arctic for millennia, had been integrated with Earth's nascent fleet. Scientists and engineers had worked day and night to adapt the technology for use in their own ships, and now they were ready. The device was no longer just an artifact. It was their last line of defense. The pulse, now synced to Earth's fleet frequencies, would be aimed directly at the Confederation mothership, its heart, its command center. If the shot succeeded, it could unravel their entire invasion force in a single strike. But if it failed, humanity would be at the mercy of an unstoppable alien army. Rachel looked over the assembled fleet as it prepared to launch. The human ships, sleek and newly equipped with the ancient tech, stood like sentinels in Earth's atmosphere. There was no turning back now. Earth was not just defending itself. It was making a declaration. Humanity would not be cowed, would not bend to the will of invaders. In the distance, the Confederate fleet loomed larger. The Confederation had arrived in full force. Their ships shimmered with unknown energy, and their weapons were poised for destruction. But now, the odds were different. A spark of defiance that had started with a single pulse was about to become a fire. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3, Donovan's voice was barely a whisper in the room. Rachel's gaze was locked on the monitors. We're going to make them remember who we are. The final moment was upon them. The fate of Earth was sealed in a heartbeat. 2, 1. The pulse fired. Above Earth, a streak of brilliant energy ripped through space, cutting toward the heart of the Confederation's fleet. The universe would never be the same again. The pulse of energy surged from Earth's fleet, a blinding wave of light that stretched across space like the fingers of a god. It hit the Confederation's mothership at the heart of its massive armada, striking with a force that reverberated through the vacuum of space. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, a shockwave of rippling energy radiated outward, sweeping across the entire fleet. The Confederate ships, which had been poised for a devastating assault on Earth, flickered and stalled in mid-flight. Shields that had once seemed impenetrable flared and shattered like glass. Engines sputtered, and entire squadrons dropped out of formation. Their systems scrambled beyond repair. The Central Command ship, Eric's flagship, was the first to fall. Its advanced systems went dark as its energy reserves were drained in an instant, its once pristine hull twisting in response to the unprecedented surge of power. The Confederation fleet, those that were still functional, began to panic. Ships veered wildly, trying to realign their systems, but the damage had been done. Their once coordinated invasion was now a scattered chaos of broken vessels, tumbling through space, helpless against the shockwave that had crippled them. The pulse, amplified and directed with deadly precision, had crippled the very core of the Confederation's technological superiority. But despite their immediate vulnerability, the Confederation's command was not about to concede defeat. A final transmission crackled through Earth's communication channels, a chilling voice breaking the silence. "This will not be the end." Eric's voice boomed across the airwaves. "You may have struck us today, but you are nothing in the grand scheme of the galaxy. Your defiance is a fleeting illusion. You will fall, and your world will be ours." Rachel Evans, her expression unyielding, stood in the heart of Earth's command center. Her hands were clenched, but her eyes never wavered from the monitors that showed the crippled Confederate fleet. She spoke, her voice carrying a cold finality that reached every corner of Earth, every broadcast station, every public address system. "No," she said, her words cutting through the air with the weight of destiny. "We are not a fleeting illusion. We are humanity, and you have underestimated us." Across the planet, humanity watched as Earth's fleet, emboldened by their victory, surged forward, ready to finish what they had started. The ancient weapon had shown them their strength, but it was humanity's resolve, its will to survive, that would carry them through. The Confederation had come to Earth thinking it could break the human spirit. They had come to subjugate. Instead, they had ignited a fire that could never be extinguished. And so, the war for Earth, for humanity's survival, was far from over. But the Confederation had learned a lesson they would not soon forget. Humans were not to be conquered. In the vastness of space, Earth stood tall. End of story.